And we are live. What's up, Ed? How you doing?
I'm here.
Will you be watching the Super Bowl today?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am not one of those comic book reading anti-sports people that
You know what?
seem to be a lot of.
I feel like of all the comic book fans that I know personally, I'm one of the very few that doesn't watch football or basketball.
Hmm.
Most comic book fans I talk to, or at least that I know personally, like you and some of the other podcasters and whatnot, are all really into football and basketball. And I get it. When I had a roommate, my best friend from high school, who was a big sports fan, he would watch KU basketball every year, and I totally got into it watching it with him, but
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with growing up. If either as a child individually or more than likely because of one or both of your parents, it's an easy thing to just continue on if your parents did it as far as watching to you, you do it and you pass it on to your kids. Now, I will say, I don't believe either one of my sons is a sports fan at all.
Yeah.
And I know that during the appropriate season, whatever, I don't follow all sports, but whatever the sport be, if it's available, I watched it even with them. So I don't know what it is I quote unquote did wrong that I didn't pass that passion on to them, but neither one of them is a comic book fan really either. Yeah. So I don't know.
That my dad was really into sports. My little brother's into sports. My older brother's into sports. I'm the middle child, so of course I have to do something completely different.
Yeah, you can't be you can't be the same. That's the whole point of being a middle child. Yeah.
It's the same thing with my daughter Rana, whose birthday is today. Everybody say happy birthday to Rana.
Happy birthday to Rana.
She's over there. She can't really hear you. Ed says happy birthday. But she's the middle child. Simon, he's into Simon likes a lot of the stuff that I do. Palin Rana likes a lot of the stuff that I do, but the main things that I just love, like the Beatles, Star Wars, she won't have anything to do with it.
Okay.
But we have a love of Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and other comics and stuff like that. So yeah. All right. Am I recording? I am recording.
Test 1 2 1 2. So am I.
You did that weird thing again where you physically froze your entire body and then you threw your voice, so it sounded like so it looked like you were frozen, but you were.
I didn't do it on purpose. I am not a ventriloquister.
It's an amazing talent. All right. We ready to start this story here?
Sure thing.
Those of you who may be watching live, feel free to chime in the comments. This is Superman Super Show Live, episode number 45. All right, here we go. The following yeah, that's some weird. Some agua. Ooh, what was that? I heard like a train whistle, very silent.
Oh yeah, that was a notice on the phone of getting some money back from Amazon because they botched up an order. So
it's always nice to get money back. It's not nice to have an order botched, but
yeah. Hopefully what it is I ordered I can find again. Apparently it got damaged in transit is what Amazon said. I mean, like 2 days after I'd ordered it, as soon as it went out, they're like, oh, it got damaged. We're sending it back. We won't be able to send it to you. Ask us for a refund. I was like, what'd you guys do?
Or somebody in shipping went, is this the only one we have? I want this. Oh, yeah, it was damaged in transport.
Put it back up on the shelf over here on my shelf.
Yep.
Whenever I want something or need a present, I go to my shelf in the warehouse and pick something. It's like, okay, this is okay.
They got a big locked cabinet.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
They just like, what's that locked cabinet for? Don't worry about it. That's my stuff.
Nothing. It's my jacket when I come in. I sit that way because I keep stuff in the pockets of my jacket. That way nobody steals it. I lock the locker. That's
right.
Yeah.
That's right. All right. The following episode was recorded in front of a live streaming audience on Sunday, February the 8th, 2026. You're listening to the Superman Super Show, episode number 96, The Billionaire's Daughter. Hello and welcome to the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Steeven, and 1,000 miles over there to my right is another host, Mr. Ed Moore. Ed, how you doing?
I am here surviving this nasty-ass winter we've decided to have this year.
Oh, what's it like there right now?
It is in the mid-teens. There's snow on the ground, probably 3 or 4 inches, and then underneath that is like probably 1.5 inches or 2 inches of ice.
Oh,
it's overcast. It's not doing anything today. I don't think it's supposed to. It might get into the mid-20s, but tomorrow it's supposed to be in the 40s and the next day in the 50s with rain. So we're holding out and looking forward to that.
Nice. Do you want to know what the temperature here is right now?
Sure.
45.
Shut up. Yeah.
Do you want to know what it's going to get to?
45.
63.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on over here the last couple of days. We got a little heat wave going on.
No doubt there in the flyover country. You guys are all balmy and shit.
Oh, Bill from Long Island says that it warmed up to 8 degrees on Friday.
Yikes.
See, my wife's feeling is since we were like around 8 to 12 degrees a couple of weeks ago, mm-hmm. and we had the big snowstorm that everybody had. Now that it's getting warm again, that only means something really bad weather-wise is going to happen around here.
Well, it could be. I mean, it used to be, this time of year, I remember growing up, winter started phasing out. It was going to warm up here in just a little while. And everything. Now I know I do not discount snow until I get to like mid-April in this part of the country.
Yeah.
Because we have had some of the nastiest snowstorms around Easter.
Yep.
So it's like, when's it going to warm up? I'm holding out for June 1st. That's, that way.
Yeah. We've been getting snow. We get our snow later and later every year. So, it used to be late October, November, we'd start getting snow, and it was somewhat unusual to not have a white Christmas.
Right.
And in fact, when my kids were little, we had a blizzard on Christmas, and we would normally get up Christmas morning, open our presents, and then get all dressed and go over to Grandma and Grandpa's. But we couldn't go anywhere that year because of the blizzard.
Okay.
And so we had just decided by the end of the day, we're like, this was really nice. We just got to spend Christmas at home. Didn't have to rush, didn't have to do anything. And so from that moment on, we would do like Christmas Eve or the day after Christmas with Grandma and Grandpa, but Christmas Day was ours.
Was yours, yeah. And that's absolutely fair. That's the way it should be, in my mind. So,
but now it's like we're not seeing snow until the new year.
Right, turn of the year is when, yeah. And it's funny, the winters don't necessarily bother me. I was born and grew up in Chicago.
Yeah,
and we have this nifty weather condition called a lake effect snow. And so it's like my memories of Chicago now when I was growing up is that, from like, September to like April, there was snow on the ground. It seemed, it was every major holiday you had to contend with snow. School was called, even though I lived right across the street from the school, constantly. And, these are now, whether those are accurate now looking back, I don't know. But I do remember that winter was definitely synonymous with snow. And so winter officially starts, the 21st of like December, I think.
Something like that.
But November, for Thanksgiving, I remember there always being snow. I remember Halloween, they started talking about it. Not that it was going to be, but it was going to be soon, that now the snow's going to be, and you won't be able to go outside and play with your friends all the time and everything. So, on Halloween, be sure to go out and have a good time. That's what I remember is that November, December, January, February. My birthday is in March. By about March, it was probably over. March 18th. Didn't really get too much snow after that. I don't recall. Now it's like, no, there's no snow on Thanksgiving. There's seldom any snow for Christmas, but from like, New Year's to like well past Easter is where winter has shifted to as far as the calendar. And it's like, I like it the old way with Thanksgiving and Christmas and,
Yeah, that's my memory as a child too. And growing up in Kansas is that every winter it snowed. And it wasn't just snow, it was snow. Like my memory. And again, like you said, who knows what's true? For all I know, my memory is combining maybe 4 winters.
Exactly. All into one.
But I just feel like there was always a crap ton of snow. But of course, I was much shorter back then. So what may seem like, a lot of snow then isn't a lot of snow now. Maybe up to my ankles now, where it was up to my knees back then.
Exactly.
But I don't know. I remember going out and making snowmen and building snow forts and sledding and feels like every year. And it's I don't know.
And once it snowed, it stayed. Once it started, it stayed until it got warm and it was all gone and didn't snow anymore. Now it's like, there's a little here, there's a little there, and it's like, normally this is an exception, but normally within 2 or 3 days of the snow, either it's warmed or it's rained, and you can't even tell that last week they canceled school or whatever it was. Yeah. Whereas now, what we have now, this is going on. We're getting ready to head into our 3rd straight week, I think, with snow on the ground. And I'm just like, wow, that's unusual for here.
Yeah, I'd almost prefer that than what we have right now because, we got all the snow and now it's above freezing and it's all melted. And so it's just muddy all the time.
Yeah.
And as we get into the spring, we get rained on a lot during the spring. And so we spend a lot of spring with mud all over the place. And so I just, I'd rather track snow into the house than mud, basically.
Yeah.
It's easier to clean that snow.
Definitely.
Unless it's yellow snow, then
Well, you're not supposed to play with the yellow snow, so.
No. So those of you who are listening to the podcast and not watching us live, if you were listening to the date that we recorded this is Super Bowl Sunday. Ed will be watching. I will not. Ed, who's in the Super Bowl this year?
I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, honestly,
I think
Seattle and New England.
Yeah, I thought I heard the Patriots were in.
Okay. Yeah, Seattle and New England.
I don't follow sports, but I know enough to know that it seems like there was a time when the Patriots were in the Super Bowl like every year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So automatically, I don't like them.
During the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick years, and of course that is a well-known descriptor to people that have followed the NFL for the last 25 years or so. There was an interesting statistic. I think it was 20 years. Over the last 20 years, last year, although it changed this year because of New England, but last year, or let me think. No, never mind. I'm not even going to go there because I'm not sure what I'm saying. So
there must have been a time not that long ago when the Patriots weren't all that good. The only reason I say that is because there's a Family Guy episode, and I don't remember what season it's in. I don't know how far back it goes, but there's a Family Guy episode where the 4 guys are all watching the Pats game on the TV in the bar, and they lose, and they're upset about, they lose again. They're really angry, and they show like a after game interview with like the quarterback of the other team that won, and he says the normal things. Well, we just came together as a team and God really blessed us. And so they decided, why is God always blessing the other team? When is God going to bless the Pats? And so they go and they find God and they ask him, why are you messing with the Patriots? Why won't you let them win? And he admits that God tells him that he won't let the Patriots win because he doesn't like Belichick. And that if they can make, he's like, I've given him wins before and he doesn't even crack a smile. So no more. And so he tells them if they can make Bill Belichick smile, he'll let the Patriots win again.
Okay.
So that's their mission.
Yeah, was when Tom Brady was a quarterback, it seems like the Patriots were always at the top of the heap. After he left, it didn't happen so much. And that's when the Kansas City Chiefs kind of took over as being the preeminent team. Now, interestingly enough, the Chiefs maybe are on a downtrend or maybe just had a bad year. You can't tell until in the future. But oddly enough, the Patriots seem to have found at least a momentary solution. I don't think, even with the quarterback that they have, knowing the way that professional football is run nowadays, I don't think this is like setting the Patriots up for another like 20-year run like they had under Brady and Belichick. I don't think really any team will be able to do that because, well, just a variety of reasons. Money is the biggest reason. People chase the money now, and so they're not as apt to stay together as a team. So any good team has a window of probably 2 or 3 years before it fractures and people start chasing money somewhere else, and the team gets upset because we didn't win everything this year, so they get rid of the head coach. And so that, it's just so variable. Everybody, regardless of who it is or why, they want to win now. They want to win this year.
Yep.
Well, New England started off building a team to win, and then once the team started winning, for the most part, everybody involved just left it alone. Now, they did lose people, and they brought in new people, players and whatnot and stuff. But the core, the quarterback and the head coach, stayed together, and they worked well together. And so they had a nice long run. Nowadays, I just don't think you can set something up like that to have it last for 15, 20 years.
Is Tom Brady, is he the deflated football guy?
No, he's a commentator now.
Well, who's the quarterback? Wasn't there a scandal where the football was slightly deflated, which made
that was Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. I think is when that was because it was real cold, and so apparently, of course, a less full football is a little easier to squeeze and to hold on to in the cold.
Grab, yep.
And so, well, you say that, and that was a thing. But I just found out that this year, and I don't know if this is the first year, it might be the first year, but this year, every team is supposed to set aside 3 footballs for kicking only. Oh, wow. That's all they're supposed to be used for whatever reason. I don't know if they're more inflated than the regular or less inflated or what the deal is, but there must be something different about that football that it's just both teams. So that's why a lot of times you will see team people and the ball boy and whatnot, when a football is kicked, they will try really hard to get that ball back because they only have 3 that they can use. So they keep up with them a lot. I know you've seen scenes during the game where a player will catch a football or run it in, get a touchdown, and then in celebration will fling the football into the stands.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. But if they try to do that with a ball that they have kicked, like a winning field goal or something like that, they will just about tackle them to keep hold of that ball because they can't get rid of those balls. Easy. So I don't know what they have done differently to those, but yeah, I've noticed that this year.
Well, before we wrap up our weather and sports segment here on the Superman Super Show, sports makes me think of a podcast that I'm going to recommend. It's called Broomgate, a curling scandal, and it's a documentary style podcast, limited series, and it's all about the brooms that they use in curling, and how at one point there wasn't like a standard. And how as far as the bristles and the thickness and the what they were made from and all that stuff, and how something had happened to then make it, they started making standard rules for the types of brooms you could use. It's pretty interesting. It's kind of tongue in cheek because it's a curling scandal, but still it's if you've ever wanted to know anything about curling other than just, well, the stone and the broom, it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting.
Cool. All right.
All right, so today we're looking at The Billionaire's Daughter, the Superman tale that appeared in Action Comics number 40. It was written by Jerry Siegel with art by John Sekula. And Action Comics number 40 has a cover date of September 1941, but according to Mike's Amazing World of Comics at mikesamazingworld.com, this issue may have hit the stands on July 22nd, 1941. The day before my birthday, if I was alive in 1941. I just found out a couple of days ago that there was an elephant, a super tusker, as they're called, because they just have enormous tusks. They've managed to not be poached and had their tusks taken or anything. And the name of this elephant was called Craig, the super tusker. It was born in 1972. Same year as me, and just passed away of natural causes in January.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. All right, let me do this synopsis here. I'm going to try really hard not to botch this name because it's such a funny name. Superman is hired by billionaire Morgan Thorgensen to keep his daughter Nancy out of trouble. Superman breaks up a gambling den responsible for cheating Nancy out of her father's money, but Nancy is angered by the Man of Steel's interference. When a flood strikes the area, Nancy is forced to act selflessly along with Superman to save the flood victims. The experience has a positive effect on her, and she abandons her frivolous behavior permanently. Ed, what'd you think of this one?
The synopsis, I don't necessarily find all that accurate, but the story was entertaining, albeit a bit. The entire premise was kind of weak, I thought, as the kids used to say, weak sauce. So this would have to be ranking all of the Superman stories, which we haven't done, fortunately. And I say fortunately because that would be very difficult to do, one to the bottom. I mean, but this is, if you rank them, this would be in the lower middle to lower portion as far as memorable for a variety of reasons, I think. So at the time reading it, yes, it's entertaining, but once you close the book, you're like, okay, what's next on the stack? And you just keep going.
I read this about an hour ago. I have a real love-hate relationship with this story. Okay. Speaking in general terms, Action Comics number 1, he is known as the champion of the oppressed.
Right.
40 issues later, not really living up to that title in this issue. He's not the only oppressed people, I guess, he was helping were those caught in the flood.
Yes. The general public.
Yeah. And we'll obviously we'll get into a deeper conversation about all this as we go through the issue. But the only saving grace that this issue had for me was that it seems to have amped up his powers a bit, because he carries a house at one point. I don't think we've seen him lift anything that big before.
No. Okay. Yeah.
He digs that mile-long trench in moments. So,
but he also does not fly.
Not really. He does and he doesn't.
In one particular scene, it's obvious he is not flying. So yeah. So I really enjoyed seeing those scenes, seeing him use his powers in ways being
that
Superman.
Being Superman. But other than that, I mean, the first, I'll just say this: the whole time, all I'm thinking about is I just want to grab that billionaire and go, dude, just cut her off. If you're that worried about it, just cut her off.
I have an interesting, you'll probably find this interesting comment once we set up that part of the story. There's a real life observation that I can add to that. So
and when you think about the fact that, I mean, were there any billionaires back then? I mean, if there were, there might have been one, and this guy was it. The billionaire thing wasn't as, nowadays we got a bunch of billionaires and we all hate them, and so it's funny how that we go back to issue 1, Superman's kind of, he's a man of the people. And I'm not saying he's not anymore. It's just that this one issue, I don't know what Siegel had going on that he decided to have Superman
on billionaires.
Yeah. Not only help a billionaire. And what was his price? Do you remember what his price was for helping him?
$100,000 donation.
$100,000 donation to a charity. That's like what, $10 for a billionaire?
Yeah, but back then that was a lot of money.
No, it was. Yes.
As far as the times, now as far as what the billionaire, that's nothing. That's the change that falls out of his pocket when he pulls out his wad to do something. I mean, that's
I mean, whether you're a billionaire in the 40s or a billionaire now, $100,000 to you is it's like $10. It's like $1. It's nothing. I meant to look up the percentage, but I forgot.
You make and lose that on a daily basis easily in your dealings. So,
and then Superman's, he kidnaps the woman, forces her back into her father's home. I'm just,
that's
Superman. Come on. I'm very glad that this issue isn't part of the collection that I gave my daughter. She'll read this one day and it's going to piss her off. I'll tell you that. Well, all right. You want to, no, go ahead.
No, that's fine.
I was just going to say, you want to go ahead and take us through this freaking issue? Let's do it.
Let's start with this cover.
Yeah.
This is definitely a World War II Superman fighting at least against. You assume you know whose side he's on, but we definitely see he's punching a tank, and the tank has the Iron Cross on both. So off the top of my head, I don't know explicitly that is a symbol that the Germans used, but implicitly we certainly assume that very quickly. I would have to look over all of their flags and memorabilia, their award medals that they gave their soldiers and everything like that. I know it's called the Iron Cross, but I don't know if that's because of Nazi Germany or because of a Germanic thing.
Yeah.
Much like the swastika is not a Nazi creation. It's like an Aztecian or Incan or something like that they use. So it's like even that is not theirs, but unfortunately it has come to be associated with it, so much so that symbol, I believe, to this day is banned in Germany. You get into legal problems if you. So it's like, but it's not even theirs. I mean, this is something that existed well before the Nazis ever whatever. But now it's so tainted that it's like, no, we don't want to see it at all.
And in fact, if you ever buy a Kiss album in Germany or see anything with the Kiss logo on it in Germany, they had to change the S's because the S looks too much like the SS.
Right.
So the Kiss logo has different, I think they're backwards or something, but
okay. Yeah. See, that's, and which is kind of interesting nowadays in consideration of all the many things that people here in the US at least get away with as far as symbology. And we know what it means, but there is always that group of people ready with their excuses as to why, well, no, it's not that, it's, and the rest of us are sitting here like, well, no, obviously that's what they intended to do. It's like, they appropriated it. And
It's like if somebody tattoos a swastika on their chest and then they're the people who excuse them are like, well, I mean, really they're hearkening back to the Aztec culture or wherever it originally came. No, they're not.
That's where it came from. Yes. Yeah. It's easy to, but the reason they did it, no, that's not why why are you going to put an ancient Aztec symbol on the back of your freaking neck?
Right.
I mean, come on, in the middle of your forehead. What? Please. Yeah. Okay.
But back to this cover, the tanks actually look like German tanks.
Okay.
The way that the German tanks were built. They certainly don't look like Sherman tanks.
No.
Which is what the U.S. used. And the U.S., they didn't use Sherman tanks. That wasn't their only tank, but this feels, it's even the tanks that the U.S. Well, maybe I don't know what England used, but I know that the German tanks were very boxy like these.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, and even it's interesting to me that they are not coming right out and telling you what this is, but they're doing everything they can to make you to feel to implicate what they are trying to say. It's like, well, at this point, if this is a German tank, instead of these iron crosses, why don't you just put swastikas on there, and we'll know for sure it's a Nazi tank that he's punching? Why this game of, well, we can't really tell you, but we want to tell you, and it's come up before on these covers. It's like, so I don't know why that is.
Yeah, they're not quite ready. But I think the most important question we need to ask about this cover is, what does it have to do with the story at all?
Well, absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, there
look like you had a theory, and then
actually, I can't say absolutely nothing. Superman is in both.
Yes, that is true.
Now, I don't think that Superman, I don't remember him in the story punching anything. So even to that extent, it deviates.
Yeah.
But Superman is in both. He's on the cover and he is in the story we're going to talk about, which is also the very first story in this issue of Action. And that's been the way for Superman for a while. So he's got the masthead, obviously, because he's on the cover, but he also has the honor position of being the first story. So you can buy Action, you can read the first story, and then you can throw it away because all you wanted was the Superman. It's right there. Yeah. But nothing. Unless, these tanks were purchased by they were financed by millionaires or something. Maybe.
Morgan Thorgensen is made all his money dealing weapons.
Right. And we don't necessarily need to know that for the story, but the truth is yes.
That's what they're telling us here. He's a war profiteer.
He's a 1941 Tony Stark.
Yes.
Is what he is. He's a weapons manufacturer. Now, tangentially, the splash panel does connect to the story, but not the image that we see is not an image that's portrayed in the story or even spoken of in the story. Yeah. But I believe the situation of the splash panel is similar to a situation that we find in the story. So by extension, this is possibly something that happened in that portion of the story, and we just never saw it. It was
off
not
panel.
So that's very, very possible.
Bill from Long Island says, reading Golden Age Marvel, they seem more willing to explicitly name the bad guys as Germans and Nazis. DC seems to be hesitant to name them directly. I wonder, though, the Golden Age Marvel comics you're reading, what year are they from? Because I know that at this point in history, with DC being what did I say? This is July 1941.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't entered the war yet, so maybe,
but wasn't didn't the first issue of Captain America's comic from Kirby and
that's true.
Didn't that come out in 41 or something like that? And the Warrior 39 to 40. Well, but 39 was not our direct involvement, right?
No, so maybe Marvel, maybe they just, because we know that in America at this time, you had the faction of Americans that wanted to get into this war, that felt that we needed to get in there and stop this. But then there was the other faction that's like, no, this isn't our war. We need to stay out of it. So maybe the people running Marvel at the time were the let's get into this war faction. And then the people running DC were, no, this isn't our war.
That would be an interesting, correct. That's just where, okay. That would be an interesting premise, I guess, to really investigate, because we know that in comic books, well, I will assume that I know, because perhaps I am wrong. So I'll take the onus. I believe my thought, I don't believe, but my thought is that at this time there were a lot of Jewish men involved in comic books just across the board. So I would assume that by and large, the get involved and do something would be chanted very loudly
across
the comic book spectrum, because of the involvement of these adult males and their history and probably direct connections to people still in Europe at this time, being subjected to all of this that's going on. So, but it would be interesting to see why, the first book of the first issue of a book shows the hero punching Hitler. But we're in a situation where someone like Superman, and they're like, "Oh, we'll make them think that it's the Germans or whatever, but we won't do anything directly." It's like, well, your competition is punching Hitler in the face, and you're like, well, we'll make this symbol kind of think that it's reminiscent of German. So yeah,
it is weird. We'll get to these two comments here in a second, but because we have seen stories that Superman, in these Superman issues that it's obvious that the bad guys are supposed to be Germans or Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
It's Bill from Long Island said earlier, it's like they're hesitant to really just go ahead and claim it at this point. So yeah, I'm sure they're very much wanting to get in the war. They're just not quite ready to be as out there as Marvel.
What is the reasoning? Who is saying hold back, and why would I think ultimately be the question, particularly for DC. Whereas over at Marvel, at that same level, they weren't telling them to hold back, or maybe they were, and what we do see is what they didn't hold back, but what they held back would have been much more. I don't know.
I'm trying to find out here real quick when.
Hey, Billy, welcome to the broadcast too, sir. Billy says a lot of comic book creators were first-gen immigrants, so they still had family back in Europe, and Hitler was already going ape shit. Billy didn't say shit. I did. By 1939. Not sure why DC was hesitant to name Germany Nazis. And I suppose even at this point, the only way that we would really know is we would have to be able to go back and speak to the decision makers at the time and find out, because now, this far away from it, if you ask anybody, there's a million years jumbled up in their head, and they're liable to say, well, it was because of this and this. And the truth is, they really don't know. They just think they know. Not that they're lying on purpose, but and that's something that you find. I have found with a lot of the current interviews with really old creators, is the stuff they say now doesn't match up with stuff that they said 20 years ago, and certainly doesn't match up with stuff that they would have said much closer to when it occurred. Not necessarily on purpose, but just because of that memory cloud of time that happens as we get older and we have more experiences. Steven and I were just conflating. I am 57, and I can't be 100% sure of my remembrance of the seasons is accurate, much less something like why someone did or said something, which is, of course, much more important than just something like the seasons that I can't maybe seem to keep straight.
Yeah. Bill from Long Island says New York in general, and comics specifically, has a large influence of Jewish culture for both Marvel and DC. I'm trying to pull up an audio book that I've gotten that I haven't listened to yet. It's from Danny Fingeroth. Okay. It's called Disguised as Clark Kent: Jews, Comics, and the Creation of the Superhero. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that may talk about a lot of this.
Maybe it depends on the slant that he took for the book. Yeah.
Billy D says, maybe there were some Krauts working at DC. I'm kidding, he says in all caps.
Maybe there were. I don't know. At the time, the current Nazi party had members everywhere, all through American society. That was their mission. So,
Captain America #1, by the way, on sale December 20th, 1940. So before.
And they were punching Hitler in the face. I mean, exactly. In the very first issue. So, okay. So the splash page we see here looks like Superman is rescuing someone. Maybe they got stuck under that tree, or maybe he was just rescuing them as the tree fell. You see lightning Perhaps the background there is like the lightning striking, or perhaps it has to do with a flood of water, which is certainly something that we deal with in the story itself. So tangentially, this panel, you could easily connect it to the story, whereas the cover, no. You could connect the cover to real world, maybe much more than this splash panel. But yeah, the cover, no, the splash panel, it kind of puts you in a mood that ultimately they come through with later on in the story, which I found very interesting also. So, all right, so the story starts. Lois and Clark are at the office there in the paper, at Clark's office, probably because he's sitting at a desk with a typewriter. Yeah. And they're reviewing the paper because there's an ad in the paper. And apparently it has been in every paper in the city of Metropolis, which I wasn't aware there was that many papers to really say all the papers. But this is...
I think there was at least 4.
Okay. So
I think we had the meeting of 4 of them, 4 of the...
In the one story, the editors, yeah.
Yeah.
The ad reads, Superman, your help urgently requested. Castle Ridge Park, and this threw me off, license number EH656, 11 o'clock. And the reason it threw me off is, for those of you that don't know, and most of you probably don't care, my current job is I work with my county's 911, and I am the mapping addressing coordinator. Now, with the advent of 911, most authorities have given the ability to create addresses to 911 because of the need for the 911 address for emergency uses. And then the postal service will come in and say, well, if that's a good address, we'll use it too in our system to then incorporate as far as receiving mail. So my job is to make addresses. Okay. Cool. So Castle Ridge Park, go ahead, Steven.
Oh, I was saying cool.
After 25 years, maybe not so much, but okay. Castle Ridge Park makes sense. Okay, I'm looking at a map. I'm looking for Castle Ridge Park. Where the hell I'm going to find license number EH656 in Castle Ridge Park really threw me off. I'm like...
Me too.
Oh, okay. So that doesn't work. You know, what I know of the system, this isn't it. So let's step back. Castle Ridge Park. Okay, maybe it's a park. And then it finally dawned on me, even before I moved ahead, Superman is going to be looking for a car, right? License number in a park. That's how they want to meet, and that's all they give him. And I was like, okay, I got to see how they do this, because this doesn't make sense as far as a contact.
Yeah, see, it didn't even dawn on me that it was a license plate number until the car shows up.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm thinking driver's license or ID, and it's like, what is he going to walk around the park and just ask everybody to show
can
him
I see your
license, please? I just got to match up the number.
It just enough information, but maybe not in the writing of the story really completely thought through as to how this would seem by itself.
And we know after we find out who left the ad, they could have been much more descriptive. Money was not an object when it came to putting this ad together.
A whole page would not have been an issue. It's
billionaire. He's putting an ad for Superman, and it's a little tiny classified ad.
5, 6, 7 lines. Because I think, and actually I can check this with my spouse, I believe the size of the ad is what you pay for.
Yeah.
And so, of course, the number of lines is also going to be dictated by the size. So yeah, all he paid for was 7 lines. This is like, what is this? Maybe a 1-by-1 ad in the classifieds of all the paper. Yeah.
I can, it actually kind of makes sense to me in my head. I can totally see like an assistant coming into the Morgan Thorgenson's office and saying, okay, I've got a draft of the ad put up. If we do a full page, which will ensure that Superman will see it, it will cost us $600. Oh, no. What other options do we have? Well, the smallest space is at $150. Let's do that. $150. Yeah. That sounds good.
This is and people make fun of like Scrooge McDuck, but they have the money they have for those very reasons that you're saying. I mean, So Okay, so they see this ad, Lois and Clark, and Lois is like, well, now's our chance. I don't care what the ad says. The fact that if this works, Superman will be there, will give us a chance to whatever interact, I suppose, with Superman. Will and it's like, well, so he's going to answer this ad, and you're going to be able to interview him because no, I don't see it, but. She's just wanting the contact. She believes that just in being able to contact Superman, that will be enough to then write this article or get this interview or whatever is going on in her mind with her contact with Superman, other than Superman being, throwing the nod at her and going on about his day. It's so
well, and Clark's reaction here when she brings him the newspaper feels not as spineless and cowering as he normally is. When I read it, have you seen this advertisement? I certainly have, but what of it? It just seems like, what are you bugging me with this crap for,
He's
Lois?
not going to go anywhere with it at first. He's like, he's waiting for her to take the lead in what's going to go on. He's not presuming anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
so
then
maybe instead of trying to be cowardly here, he's pretending to just be stupid.
Okay,
could be. He doesn't see the potential of the stories.
Yeah, well, they're asking for Superman. Yeah. I'm not Superman, so why am I going to be interested in the ad? So yeah. So later that day, they do go to, and here's where the way that the ad is set up starts making sense.
Yeah.
The narrator tells us later in Castle Ridge Park. Okay, so now we know. We see here in the background through a gate, we see trees and a bench and people sitting on the bench. Oh, a park.
Yeah.
An actual. Okay. All right. So there's one question, but then in the word balloons from the characters, Lois says 5 minutes to 11. Keep your eyes open for that license number. And I was like, oh, so Superman is to go to this park at 11 o'clock and contact the person with this license number on their car. It's like.
Yeah, I still hadn't gotten that at this point.
Yeah, here it made sense to me, which I know is just the same page of the comic. But I mean, yeah, at first I'm like, license number EH657. What kind of address is that? That sucks.
Yeah.
What? How are you? Yeah. So quickly, Clark says, "You walk this way, I'll walk that way." So he quickly splits them up so that when he does, assuming that it's him, finds the car, he will be able to do his Superman thing, and Lois will be out of the way. So he changes. His clothing here, you can see all nicely folded on top of a rock, a little boulder there over in some forgotten corner of the park, which is interesting because there's a lot of closed laying here, but all he's taken off is his jacket.
Yeah.
So it's like he still has his pants on. So I'm like, well, what is all of this?
I see his jacket and then a hat on top of it.
But what's this over here next to him? Like the jacket is right under the hat. What is this other little pile over here?
Oh, I don't know.
That would be the pants, right? Because he took his jacket and pants, but he's got his pants on.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So,
can I just say real quick that I really looking at this page. There's the two panels that we have on this page that we see Superman's full chest with the S shield. The S looks really nice. It's a lot less just somebody kind of scribbling in an S there as it has been. I'm really enjoying the art in this. I don't think we've seen this artist do Superman yet, but
Cicala.
It's very, very golden age. Very kind of reminds me a bit of a little bit of CC Beck.
Okay, I think it has a very newspaper strippy look to it. I could see this in black and white, and there's enough definition in everything that at a reduced newspaper strip size, everything would still be very visible.
Yeah, this is really, you're right. It's very highly detailed. Mm-hmm. Really good, like it.
So Lois spies a car, a nice purple car, and this is one of two really sweet looking purple cars that's in this. I don't know why both cars turn out to be purple, but they do, and they're both connected to the same person, Mr. Thorkinson. So maybe millionaires buy purple cars in 1941. I don't know. I can't imagine there were too many cars available for purple in 1941. Yeah. Watching movies and whatnot. although they're always in black and white. So never mind. What I was going to say really doesn't matter.
Maybe the Dick Tracy movie had some purple cars because that was based on a comic, and so there was.
Yeah, it had mega colors of all kinds of colors. That nice bright yellow overcoat that he had, and yeah. Lois spies the car, and as she is either watching maybe or approaching the car, she sees Okay, wow. She sees Superman jump inside, and the car speeds off.
You did that thing that I always do.
I did.
You knew you were supposed to be saying Superman, but you were thinking of the word jump at the same time.
I'm like 4 or 5 words ahead when
Superman.
Yep. Something into it's like, okay. English is hard.
It just proves that our brains work way faster than our mouths do.
Sure. I'll go with that. That's the entire situation just leaves Lois here kind of stymied in the park. The last we see of her, I think, until the end of the strip, end of the story, is her saying, "Oh, well, this got away. Now I got to find Clark." And I'm thinking, yeah, good luck. He's gone for a while. Inside the car, we see Superman talking to a dude, also in a purple suit. So purple must have been the color of choice for this story in action.
And a bowler hat.
Yes, he is smartly dressed. He's got a bow tie on, which you can hardly see because it's not colored or anything. If he's wearing a purple jacket, I would think that bow tie should be colored too. Maybe not purple, but something.
I read him as British, because of the bowler hat.
And is this the same dude that turns out to be his Thorgenson's man that he talks to later? If it is, his name is Pinkley, which that could be a British name.
He refers to himself as Thorgenson's secretary.
Secretary.
I get a real butler vibe from
him, basically. So the first thing he tells Superman is, "Well, you're not here to speak to me. I am just a messenger. We will go to, now that you're in the car, my employer, which is who the ad references. That's who you're supposed to talk to." And he tells him that it is Morgan Thorgenson, and Superman recognizes him as being the billionaire. So for whatever reason, I don't know necessarily, other than somebody like related to our current government, which I don't feel like speaking about, and maybe some big businesses that they are potentially billionaires. I don't even know for sure, but I don't know just off the top of my head that somebody could throw out a name and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, they're a billionaire, right?" There's a couple of them, but that I would immediately know. Oh yeah, they're a billionaire. But yeah, I'm sure there are people like sheikhs from the United Arab Emirates and that probably are, that if you just threw the name out at me, I wouldn't know. Most of the Americans, the Rockefeller family, are they billionaires or are they millionaires at this time? That was something that I thought about early when Steeven was talking. We know a lot of the media people and a lot of industry people in the U.S. were very, very rich at this time, but would they truly have been billionaires to be called that, or were they just? And I can't believe I'm making this distinction. Are they just millionaires?
Which at the time. Because I feel like a millionaire back then would be like our billionaires now.
Probably, yeah. I mean, a billionaire then would have to be, way up here on the social scale. So, Standard Oil, hard to calculate totally. Yeah, well, yeah. It's I'm not necessarily arguing, just more questioning.
Yeah, just curious.
There are names that are going through my head from history, and I'm wondering, they were very, very rich, but were they that rich? Was it even possible at this time to be that rich, to truly be a billionaire, owning railroad and the dude that was the newspaper mogul, and then somebody like the Rockefellers? Were they truly billionaires? Was that even had they had enough time to get that much money together? So, which is kind of nitpicking, but still, nowadays you can make hundreds of millions of dollars in a day. With crypto and with stocks and selling of companies and whatnot. So becoming a millionaire today is in essence, a piece of cake. At this time, it took a while for you to amass that kind of money and officially become a millionaire. A billionaire, I can't imagine what it would have taken.
Well, and I think of the Austin Power movies, right? The very first one, Dr. Evil and Austin Powers, of course, they are woken up in the around the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the scene where Dr. Evil is telling, the world's government officials, do this. I'm gonna destroy the world unless you give me $1 million. And they're all like, $1 million, that's nothing these days. And so he has to change it to like $100 million. But then there's the movie where he goes back to the 60s and he asks, he does the same thing. He goes, $1 billion. And they just laugh their asses off. Nobody's got $1 billion.
Yeah, exactly. It's
so,
like, yeah. So
I don't know. I want to point out, I love Superman's reaction here when he gets into the car and he asks the guy, who is your employer? And the guy says, Morgan Thorgensen. You've heard of him, no doubt. Superman's reaction is, who hasn't? Thorgensen, the billionaire? Say, this promises to be interesting.
For Superman. Yeah.
I don't know that we've seen Superman say at this point, say, he seems really excited, like a little kid.
They drive up. Superman gets out, meets Thorgensen here. As a matter of
text on this page.
As a matter of fact, I'm not. It's not myself. I'm asking you to help. He tells Superman, because Superman, is like, well, you're a billionaire. What kind of help would you need from me? You could pay for whatever, First, your secretary tells me that he's not the one who needs help. Then you tell me the same about yourself. What I'd like to know is who, if anyone, does need my assistance. And Thorgensen says, my daughter. Okay, here, let me interject real life. Again, working at 911, we average probably a call a week of someone asking for police officers to set someone in their family straight, usually children. I kid you not. They call 911 saying that my daughter is completely out of hand. She won't do anything I say. Can you have an officer? No, ma'am. The law enforcement does not do that. That's not. Yeah. No, ma'am. Sorry. That's. We can perhaps get you in touch with somebody from social services, or maybe some of these other governmental programs, but. Yeah. We don't send officers to jerk a knot in somebody's tail. It's not, maybe the movie that you watched, they do, but real life, no, that's not. Yeah, it's not how it's done. So that came to mind when I was reading this. I'm like, this is funny because it's in a comic book, but we get these calls at 911.
Yep.
So
that's funny.
Nancy, if what I read in the papers is correct, your daughter feels quite self-sufficient, as she probably is making the news for everything she's doing, all the trouble she's getting into by the sounds of it with what we see in the rest of the story. So it's like, maybe that's how Superman knows that Thorgensen is a billionaire, because his daughter stays in the news so much. Yeah. And of course, any good news person is going to connect and say, oh, by the way, this is Thorgensen's daughter. So who to blame rather than her. Go for the deep pockets, not her. So we have the little, like you said, a lot of text here, basically saying that she is not doing what Thorgensen, whatever, asks her to do, requires of her to do, expects her to do, whatever. The daughter doing as the father has instructed is not occurring. He has tried everything. He's out of ideas, and he thought that perhaps Superman, a superpowered alien from another planet, could use his superpowers to make her, it's like, what exactly are you wanting Superman to do? He can twist her head off and pull it off her body. Is that what you want?
Yeah, it's like, I was confused about that at first too, because I almost expected Superman to track her down and then sit her down and say, now let's talk about your lifestyle. Do you think that's something you should be doing? And I wasn't expecting what happens, It's also made pretty clear here that, I mean, ultimately his biggest problem with his daughter, like you said, she's not doing what he feels she's supposed to be doing. She's running around town, spending his money,
right,
and making him look bad.
Right.
Which I think is the bigger problem for him than the money, is that he's making her look bad.
Well, sure.
Or she's making him look bad.
Right. And the price is that Superman, of course, doesn't want anything, but he says, give $100,000 to your favorite charity as my payment, my side of our agreement. Thorgenson's right. It's a deal and a bargain at that price, but I must warn you about the charm of hers. That charm of her. I'm like, this is yeah. Anyways, so as in the midst of this conversation, Pinkley comes in saying that the Purple Fawn nightclub, someone or the nightclub itself has called Daddy to let them know that the daughter is out of hand. The daughter and her escort are embroiled in a brawl. So,
which makes the scene, the first time we meet her, literally the panel that we first meet her is probably my favorite panel in this issue.
Superman.
It would make sense for them to have somebody at the club, though, to call before. To me, it almost feels like you better come down here and do something about your daughter before the police and or the press arrives.
Could be either a member of her entourage or just somebody from the club that knows that they do this solid for Thorgenson, and then he will return the solid numerically and somehow. And
because
those of you that can't see, I'm rubbing my fingers together in the international symbol for moolah,
international sign for cheddar.
Because
the people who run the club, when we actually get there, they don't seem to be all that interested in actually stopping her, because even when the brawl is over, she stays. They let her stay and lose all her money. So
they don't go ahead and ask her to leave now that this is done. Yeah.
So I think it's more about somebody is probably, if this gets any more out of hand, somebody will call the police or the press, and she's going to have your name in the paper again for all.
Yeah, one or both is not. Yeah, not something you want. So Superman leaves, and then Thorgenson asks Pinkley, "Do you think he'll succeed?" And Pinkley says, "Knowing your daughter as I do, sir, I find myself extremely pessimistic. Superman may have tangled." I'm sorry, pessimistic. Pessimistic does have a period after it. Superman may have tangled with colossal opposition, but that was mere child's play compared to what he will encounter when he meets whatever. I mean, it's a spoiled brat,
right?
That daddy hasn't, that doesn't listen to daddy, and daddy, I'm sorry, did not smack her around enough as a child to put fear of any sort into her. And yes, whether smacking around is physical or psychological or what have you, I'm old school. Children have to be trained to be a contributing part of society. And if you don't train them appropriately, because the whole reason that children exist is to push your buttons as an adult. That's what they're there for, to see how far they can go. And if you don't instruct them that this is the line, you can go this far, but not that far, then they will never know. And their part of society will be very, very negative. They will be a negative part of society unless they learn, because also now, much more than in the past, allow me to step on my soapbox, if the parent doesn't, no one else in society apparently is equipped any longer to impart those sorts of lessons. So if they don't learn it from the parent, they will never learn it, and it will be a problem for the rest of their life. As a parent, you have to impose the limits. You have to give them something to fear, so that for the rest of their life, they fear that same thing happening, even though after a period of time, it's highly unlikely that it's going to happen. You're not going to grab a belt when they're 57 years old and whip their ass. That's just not how it works. Or take away their allowance, or whatever punishments we as parents can impose on our children when they're little. When they get to be an adult, that's not a fear anymore, but it has taught them that there has to be limits. Whether you agree to it or not doesn't matter, because human beings that don't have limits are very problematic.
Yeah.
That you look, those types of personalities create issues everywhere they go because they don't understand. They have never been told no. They have never been made to stop or not do something. So they don't believe it's possible. And yeah, anyways, negative consequences for improper behavior. Exactly. Yeah, which even now, we as an older generation have taught our children that. Even now, if the children did not believe that, there are so many places that those negative consequences aren't even in effect anymore. The children that we have grown up just think that they are. They still believe and see things in a certain way, even though the reality is no. Those people that used to stop you, they don't even stop you anymore. They don't care. So you have to stop yourself.
Yeah, anybody in her position, and
then they get elected. Yeah, really.
From Long Island, and then they get collected. Anybody in her who lives her lifestyle and has that money, anyone in her circle of friends, they're all going to be basically yes men and yes women.
Absolutely.
They want to ride that ride. So ultimately, Morgan Thorgensen created her. The way she is now is completely his creation. Yep. And I have to assume, being a rich dad, he probably wasn't there at all to raise her in any way. But I do feel that at this point, if he cuts her off, if he just says, all right, you don't get any more money, you're out of the house, I bet she'd change her tune pretty quick.
Kick her out of the house and cut her off. That way, her entire world, she has to figure out.
Well, because
she will change immediately.
Yeah. Even when because a little later, she decides she's going to run away. And I mean, we'll get to it, but she calls a dude that she's been seeing who has apparently proposed to her a number of times. Right. He only wants to marry her for, quote, her money, but it's not her money. She even says earlier in the issue that it's her dad's money. So the idea that she could marry this guy that her dad doesn't want her to marry, but he'd still support her monetarily,
but is that the thing? He wants access to her dad's money through her. She wants access to his money, not having to worry about the fact that daddy's going to cut off my money.
Yeah.
I think is what's going on. And she doesn't realize that he does not have the money that daddy does. So what you're doing is you're cutting your nose off to spite your face. And unfortunately, she doesn't realize that, but it's like, no, look, he wants your money. Daddy's going to take your money away. So that won't exist. So you will have to live off of his money, which doesn't exist either. The dude she's married. So it's like, so you are cutting off one and going to another that has zero. It's like, and I don't think she realizes that.
Well, and it's such a stupid thing to kind of really, as far as the story plot it's picking at, but it's one of those things that, whenever they do something fantastical with superpowers and whatnot that doesn't make sense, we as comic fans don't really care. It's a comic book, superpowers, it's okay. But when they take something that's based in reality and they do it wrong, that's when we all jump all over it. That would never happen, And so there's something about this guy that she again, we'll get there in a minute. She calls him, bring a ladder. I know you wanted to marry me. Bring a ladder. Come get me. We'll elope. And he's like, yes, I'm finally going to get her money. You're going to be debt free. You've got it made, buddy. For him to just assume that if he steals this guy's daughter out of his house, takes her somewhere and elopes with her, that he's still going to support the two of them. That, to me, that just tells me that this guy's an idiot.
Well, yeah. Yeah. And also, let me go ahead and say now, for the listening to the podcast, because there's not too many listening live, but listening to the podcast, if my views on child rearment have offended you in any way, it was not my intent to offend. My thoughts are a very old school, very traditional kind of child rearing, but you have every right to be offended, and I'm okay that you're offended. And honestly, I don't really care that you're offended. That's up to you. That's your call. I have two sons. I have done things my way. You absolutely can do them yours. I am not going to step in and say that you should or shouldn't or whatever. So, you do or have done you or whatever. But very old school. Yes, that's the way my mother and father brought me up. That's the way I have brought up my children, and how they bring up their children, I have no idea, but that will be entirely up to them. They will have to bear the brunt of their choices, just as I have borne the brunt of my choices. That's all we can do. You make a call, you stick to that call, and then you just bear the brunt of the consequences of what that is. So,
Bill from Long Island says, headcanon, she has a trust she will inherit when she turns so many years old. And I thought of that too.
This is quite possible. That's why the dude is marrying her, not necessarily direct access to daddy, but because he knows at some point soon she will come into her portion of daddy's money that she can control. And so he will be able to control by extension of being married to her. And of course, because men are in charge at this time. And so,
I thought of that exact same thing. I just kind of wish they would have said it.
Done something about that as far as, at this point, still getting a dowry and everything like that. And so, yeah.
But again, the audience, I think, the audience at this point were kids.
Oh yeah.
It's not until we enter the war and soldiers are sent a lot of comic books because they need stuff to read and do while they're out doing their things. And, when the adults start really getting into comics. But mainly, I'm not saying there weren't adults reading comics at this time, but the main audience were kids. And so they didn't feel it was necessary to go into inheritance laws and trusts and stuff like that. Yeah. So that makes sense.
Having said that, Steven, that brings to mind something that we were speaking about earlier, as far as how Marvel and DC were handling depicting wartime. Mm-hmm. It seems like I have read that there were different philosophies about what they wanted the soldiers to see in the comic books. There were those people that did not want them to see any kind of direct confrontation because they would assume that they were right and that they were going to win. And so if they then lost battles and lost people, it would psychologically strike them harder because in the comic books that they're reading, they had not seen that happen.
Yeah.
So I wonder if maybe that is why these two major publishers are depicting different things. One wants to embolden the soldiers and say, see, punching Hitler in the face, that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
And the other is like, well, no, we need to soften it down because we don't know what's going to happen. So we don't want to depict different from what they see in real life. And that way there's not this conflict psychologically between, well, why did I lose? Why are all my friends gone? That's not what they show in comic books.
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry, got a little deeper there than perhaps I want to get talking about comic books.
I'm of the opinion that they would embolden them. I think people would read this kind of stuff for an escape from.
Yeah. That's, the rah, you go get them, beat, win, kind of thing, because real life sucks right now. But when I go to comic books, it's all, yes, the way I would wish it to be. And so, okay. So Superman shows up at the club. And now I am starting to think it's an issue with the colors that they had available, because the awning at the club is purple also. I don't know why. Maybe it is used more in this story than it has in the past, but it just strikes me that there's a lot of purple in this story, and there really hasn't been too much up to now. So
a lot of the colors seem to be a bit darker than what they normally. I mean, even the blues and the reds and the greens, they're all a bit darker.
Right. So Superman shows up, and the first panel that we see that stars what's her name, Nancy. She's punching somebody in the throat. No, she's punched him in the face, and he's falling off. and that's it. It's this one dude. I mean, to be a, what did they say that
They
it
called it
was?
a brawl.
A brawl, yeah. And all we see is her punching one dude.
Yeah.
And there's another woman here in a later panel. She's off to the side, so she's not brawling. The two the escorts for the man she just punched, because they're in purple also. So I imagine they work for the club is what we're perhaps supposed to take from that.
Yeah.
They have gotten the dude that she punched, and they're probably on the way to escorting him out. So, I mean, it's not a continuing, ongoing situation that we see right here.
Yeah, she punches the one guy, and then she goes, "Get rid of him," and they get rid of him.
Yep, and the dude, either who's running the floor, the manager that night, or the owner of the club, whoever he turns out to be, asks her if you wish to return to the gambling room, and it's a ... because the next panel, that's where she is. That makes a total of 40,000 you've lost after playing all night. The dealer, or whatever he's called that's running the game, tells her, because I don't believe this is a card game. This, I believe, is the circle where you bet on the number, whatever that's called. Yeah. See, I don't even know that much about gambling. I don't know. Yeah. So,
all I know about roulette is always bet on black.
Black. Yeah, really. Hadn't you better stop playing now? Someone asks, and now he's not in purple. So
no, I think he works for Thorgensen. I think he's there to watch her, keep an eye on her.
Yeah, Bill telling me roulette also there. Yeah, so certainly not. What's the use of my dad making so much money if I can't throw it away? Yeah, so that shows you point. There is a problem with the daughter's mentality right there. So it's, little snip, cut that off. And
I mean, again, $40,000 is barely a bite. It's like it's again, it would be like if I went out and spent $20 of my dad's money on some comics.
That's not the point. That's not the amount of money is not the point. The way she views it. Now, the next three panels, we find out that the gambling joint, I'll say, is geared for the house to win, which is this horrid, atrocious concept. It's like, how do you think gambling places stay in business?
Yeah,
just by chance? They just happen to make more money than the people that come. Please, come on, folks. I mean, everything isn't slanted, no, because that would be too obvious. But there has to be some amount of things that are slanted in favor of the house, so that the house makes money and so that the house stays open. Because if they don't make money, they're going to close, and gambling places wouldn't exist. Not in Vegas, not in Atlantic City, not the little quarter machines that every other place is jumping up around here where I live with a woman's name, that because you can't advertise in West Virginia what it is. So everything is Susie's, Mary's, Judy's, whatever. And that's it. It doesn't tell you. But as soon as you see the girl's name, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, it's another one of those. But yeah, Macy's, Philippa's, it's just the first name, and that's all it is. And yeah, so
gambling is legal. You just can't technically advertise it.
The machine, parlor machines, or whatever they call them. I call them quarter machines because I think that's what most of them take. Yeah. Well, not just slot, but the to me, the slot machine, yes.
Okay.
Slot machine you put in, and it's got the handle, in my mind.
Yeah.
Now, these machines are poker machines, or just betting on the outcome of something on the screen. They're not necessarily the handle, but yeah, they're all over the place here. There's one probably 300 yards from my house up the hill. I think 300 yards. I don't think that it's there. I know it's there, but
I'll send you a roll of quarters.
Okay. Yeah. I have never been in there, honestly.
Yeah.
Actually, I have never been in that kind of establishment at all anywhere. So
I haven't either.
Yeah. So yeah, this, I understand what they're doing. Of course, gambling is bad. It's wrong. You should not gamble. And they show that the house is at fault because at least this is probably the bottom of the roulette table. It's rigged, and that's bad. That I'm like, oh, come on, get off your high horse on this one. And yeah. So the dude that's running the roulette table, Superman grabs because it's his fault that the roulette table is rigged. So he grabs him up, takes him outside, gets in the air somehow. I'm dragging the dude. I'm not going to address how or why or whatever, but he goes up and then he threatens the dude first with dropping him, hanging on to something. Superman is that I guess is like a flagpole at the top of a building. I'm not really sure what this is, like. But he's not flying with him. He's stopped and he holds him and threatens to drop him, and then he does. And then before he hits, he catches him, which is this whole thing we've seen Superman play out. Who knows?
Classic Superman.
Yeah. So the dude is appropriately shook, and Superman tells him, go back in there and see to it that Nancy wins back every cent she lost, which I don't agree with. If she doesn't, I'll finish the job I started. And I guess that means take him back up there and drop him and not catch him this time. Yeah. I'll do it. Just let me alone. So they go back inside. She wins. The managers of the house or whoever is supervising starts to get suspicious because, of course, they know. You should win some. A little bit of winnings, I would imagine, wouldn't bother them at all. But the fact that she has won back $40,000, it doesn't say. But that's too much. Any house either is going to be suspicious and throw you out because you're doing something, or they will just come up and say, hey, you've had a really good night. We're going to go ahead and close this table. Why don't you go ahead and cash out? And you're too hot. Go ahead and
I would have to assume that she wins more than 40,000, even though Superman told the guy, let her win all her money back. But the fact that when we get to page 6,
he says, you've cleaned me out.
You've cleaned me out. So not only has she won all her money back, she's literally won that all the money that he has at the table, which I would assume he'd have a lot of money at that table.
You would think. Yeah. So in that the table manager, the runner of the game, whatever he's going to be called, tells her that he can't do anymore. I guess it's the only game that they have in the room, or she's not interested in any others because you can't win any more from me is basically what he tells her. And she's like, okay, well, I'll just leave. I'm not interested in winning money from anybody else. She gets in her car, takes off. Superman is watching. Back inside, we see that the house is upset with the dude because he de-rigged, anti-rigged, or rigged it the other way to where she did always win, whatever happened, and cost him the money. And basically he tells them, well, I had to because of Superman, and they don't take that as an excuse. They don't buy it. To me, this definitely has a very mafia bent to it. It's not, despite the game being rigged, it's not a clean house. These guys are criminals across the board by the way they react to me. And so, that's what has happened, is that the mafia is now offended at the fact that they have lost money.
Well, and did you notice, if we go back to the previous page when he yanks up the guy, we've had a lot of conversations in earlier stories where no Bill doubt. From Long Island says the real victim is the
dealer. Yeah, caught between the house and Superman. I mean, whose side are you going to pick?
Yeah, exactly. He's just a working class Joe, basically.
Hey.
But we've talked before about how Superman will encounter gangsters and they don't know who he is. They've never seen this guy before. But here he grabs this guy. And the guy, let go. Who do you think you are? And Superman says, who do you think I am? And the guy goes, oh, Superman. So he's starting to be recognized now, finally.
Right.
And yet back at this page where we're at now, when the manager confronts him and he blames it on Superman, the guy tells him he thinks he's lying.
And the name, too, I guess, is supposed to imply mafia. Perello.
Yeah.
P-A-R-E-L-L-O. Perello.
They're definitely criminals. Yeah.
So let's see. Going to let that dame get away with that dough, boss? Not if I can help it. Let's get going. So what they are going to do is they're going to kidnap her, or I don't know, maybe their intent was to kill her. It's not overly clear what they're going to do, but they take off in a purple sedan. Now this is my favorite car because it's a convertible, nice purple. It's got the one bench seat in the front, and that's all there is. But it's big enough for three people, three grown men to ride in it. So the bench seat definitely takes up the whole car.
Yeah.
Convertible, nice and purple. Rigged table,
Yeah.
That
Bill from Long Island put that comment up, and I was like, oh, did I miss him saying a? But no, Bill's just playing with the idea
that was the situation. It was a rigged table.
If Superman had said something out loud, that's what he would have said. Rigged table, eh?
So the mobsters from what was the name of the club?
The Pink,
the Purple Fawn.
The Purple Fawn.
Purple Fawn. Okay. Yeah, these guys from the Purple Fawn are going to waylay her somehow. So they get in the car and they go to a place to wait for her because it's a shortcut in the way that she's going. They know where she's going. I assume home, Thorgenson's mansion. So they know a shortcut. They wait for her. And just before she gets there, Superman is tailing her. He's caught up with her after watching her leave. I guess he's been following her.
Well, if we go back to the top of the page, he sees her drive off, and then the caption in the next panel says, what Superman's super hearing causes him to overhear. So he hears that whole conversation.
So he did just watch her leave, but he stayed around and heard their conversation.
Yeah. So I think he followed them.
Right. He knows what they're going to do to follow them. And so he does the pretty standard at this point, grab the bumper to hold the car when it accelerates as they're about to attack the girl. So he does that. Now, the next panel is something a little different because it's a convertible. He takes the car and just flips it on its side and throws the men out. That's the first time I think we've really seen that trick that he's doing.
I like that.
So then he tosses the car to the side and then focuses on the men. But as he is paying attention to the men to go finish up with that, Nancy, in driving by, sees that Superman is doing something with. She recognizes him as Pirello, although I don't know how because his back is to her, and it's at night, and it's 25 or 30 yards away, and she's got the super sight, whereas Superman we just saw had super hearing earlier in the panel in the page. So, Superman tracks down the bad guys as they're trying to run away, grabs them up, and throws them in a nearby pond. And then with a great vault, he jumps into the car that Nancy is, which we are told is a roadster and also is a convertible. Which was it? Yeah, it was all the time because we see it here. So, okay. So he jumps into the car with her. Whether you're aware of it or not, I just saved you from a disagreeable experience. Those gamblers were going to steal your winnings from you. And she's like, when I need your help, I'll ask for it. Now, will you please leave? Certainly, but I know you're driving away from your home. May I suggest that you drive the other way? I'll do nothing of the kind. That remains to be seen, he says as he jumps out of the car to then slide under the car, which this is a recurring trick. And I don't know how necessarily there's enough room for him to do this, but
this is a fun,
does it.
Yeah. It's weird. This is a fun twist though on the old trick.
Oh, yes. I thought at first that what he did is he got under the car and he was the pivot point and turned the car, is what I thought he was doing. But on down here, it says that he manipulates the steering apparatus. Yeah. So I
thought the exact same thing you did because I couldn't figure out how that would even be possible for him. But that's what I thought he was doing. He lifts the car up and
turns it around and it's accelerating to get away. Yeah. And when he drops it down, it'll take off in the direction he wants it to go.
Because, it does say in the caption, but then a strange thing occurs. The auto rises a foot off the ground and then reverses. So he does pick it up off the ground.
So he does do that. But then it says here,
spin it And then once he gets it turned around, then he makes sure that she doesn't.
Beneath the car, Superman is manipulating the steering apparatus, and we see him holding onto a rod. So
I think he's done both. I think he physically turned the car around, and then he got up in there to control the steering so she wouldn't then, well, I'll just turn it right back around, you know?
Right. And so since the car is steering somewhere I don't want it to go, I'm just going to sit there on the accelerator and let it go rather than using the brake to stop and get out and figure out what's wrong.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. But she's like, oh, no, I can't control where the car is going. Oh, until finally it gets to Daddy's house and she stops the car there. So I don't know. Maybe he had control of the accelerator and the steering underneath there. And so
maybe, but they don't. If they're going to tell us that he's manipulating the steering, then they should tell us that he's manipulating the brakes and the gas at the same time, that he's driving the car basically. But no, they only point out the steering, which tells me she's doing exactly what you said. She's just like, oh no, I guess I'll just keep my foot on the accelerator.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just keep going in this direction, even though I don't want to. And
I'll stop at all the stop signs, but I just won't steer it. We'll just see where we're going.
When they reach the Thorgensen mansion, Superman emerges into view. You correct. And now will you be so kind as to enter your home? Absolutely not. I don't stir another inch. Very well. You're asking for it. So she is working up to a spanking at one point, but that's not what he does. But that's kind of the feeling in some sort of gag strip of the time. That's what would happen. The dude would pick her up and flip her over and spank her on the tail. So, he does pick her up because he's going to carry her into the house. Put me down, beating on his chest. I'll be glad to once you're within the house. Well, Dad, tell this brute to let me go. Never mind. I was going to anyways. Superman says. Have him arrested. Do you realize what he's done to me? Which actually today that would be called sexual assault.
Yeah.
He forced me against my will, and just when I was calling on Freddie Taylor, is that who? Yeah. Okay. Freddie is who she calls later on. Yeah. Anyways, so after leaving the gambling parlor, she was on her way to Freddie's, and Superman made her turn around and go back home.
He kidnapped her.
Yes, and sexually assaulted her. Mm-hmm. He's just racking them up. But he threatened the dude, coercion, and this is
certainly not championing the oppressed at this point.
Well, in a story like this, it would be interesting to talk to someone who is practices whatever kind of law that could tell us all the trouble that he gets into from these different things today. Now, whatever, things were looked at differently then, but today, if somebody reported this kind of stuff happening, what would be the list of problems that they would have moving forward legally? It'd be an interesting conversation.
Today, we'd probably get a bunch of delving into psychological issues, like maybe the reason she does this, she acts out, she spends his money, is because he's abusive and stuff to her.
Exactly. And he must have sexually abused her when she was 3.
And she's trying to escape this life, and Superman forces her back into sexual slavery or something, right?
And of course,
not that it's funny, but
the list of things that he's done wrong has absolutely no meaning other than according to the way things are written, he has broken the law. Because as we see now, breaking the law is not breaking the law nowadays. It's just an opportunity for people to note that you've broken the law, because, otherwise nobody does anything when people break the law. So
you just get some social media outrage.
I don't know. Yeah. You get, for a day or two until the next time you do it. And you're like, okay. Taylor, that worthless nincompoop Superman. Oh, Taylor, that worthless nincompoop again, period. Superman, you've done a fine job bringing Nancy home. So he already is familiar with Freddie Taylor, her dad. He's like, I see it now. You ordered this muscle-bound wrench to keep guard over me. Correct, Nancy, but it's for your own good. And she stomps up to her room. I won't be treated like a child. I'm going to my room. And if you ever And if you want me ever to speak to you again, you'd better get rid of it. So it's funny. She's not going to be treated like a child, but she very much is acting like a child.
Yes, indeed.
In what she's saying and the way she is acting.
Don't treat me like a child. Okay, I'm acting like a child, but don't treat me like one.
I'm gonna sit down right here and have a fit.
I'll hold my breath.
I want to congratulate you, which I wish my children would have ever tried that growing up, because I'd have been like, go ahead. Let me see. Hold your breath. Let me see what you do. That's,
because you're going to start breathing again.
Exactly. It's like, okay, you want me to? No, I'll just let nature take its course, because you'll start and I won't have to do anything at all. Yeah. Keep you, maybe put pillows down if you do it and do manage to pass out and fall, but it's, it'll figure itself out. I want to congratulate you on the masterful way you handled Nancy, Thorgensen says to Superman. Perhaps it's a little too early for congratulations, Superman says. Upstairs, Nancy grabs the phone and calls Freddie. She's like, dog, I can't get to you. The guard dogs are here. I can't get to you. You need to come to me. She does tell him, bring a ladder. I'm in my room. It's on the upper floor, whatever. Bring a ladder, which this panel is funny. And come and rescue me. Freddie's like, Nancy, my dear, you've made me terribly happy. The next panel, if only they had made this car a Woody, maybe the
Right.
ladder would have been a little bit more believable. Yeah. I don't know. But it's some kind of yellow sedan with a ladder stuck on the side of the car. Now, it is attached maybe to the wheel well. Maybe that's an attachment there, but it's just trailing down the side of the car, sticking out past the car. The ladder is probably longer than the car.
Yeah.
But he just jammed that ladder on his sedan and he took off to rescue her. So Freddie shows up, has got the ladder, takes it off the car and is walking it over to the house to lean it against the house. But then the ladder starts to move with Freddie already. So he must have leaned it against the house, and he's up by the looks of this almost to the top, 20 feet off the ground, let's say 15, 20 feet off the ground. And the ladder starts to move. When he looks back to see why, we see that Superman has managed to pick up the ladder and I guess is running, maybe. I can't really tell that Superman is off the ground.
Yeah. And it just says that he travels a great distance.
Yeah. So rather than getting into this flying, jumping fight, I'll just say that he ran with the ladder. He just lifted the ladder up and ran with it out somewhere and put it up against a tree. And he's like, here, climb up there. In
a nearby town, hours away.
Yeah. Freddie says, Freddie? Yeah. But it'll take me hours to get back to Metropolis. So Superman wind burned the dude to out wherever.
And did you notice that Freddie changed his jacket? He's wearing some kind of, on the previous page when he's on the phone, he's wearing some kind of
purple.
Yeah. And then now he's wearing a white one. So I guess the jacket, that's a house jacket.
Jacket, a smoking jacket there that he's in when he answers the phone. And then he has to get dressed. So he puts on the white, whatever
white jacket.
Kind of jacket. Yeah. And
that just proves how much of a nincompoop he is. White jacket, brown pants.
Snoop goes back, goes through Nancy's window, however he gets up there, because she's expecting Freddie to come through the window. And so Superman surprises her by him coming through the window. And we see a thing here in her speech bubble that we haven't seen too much, but we've seen on and off much more so earlier in the comics than we see now. But she both speaks and thinks in the same bubble. With the thinking broken by brackets, parentheses. Right? The thinking? Yeah. So he jumps in and she's like, okay, so I'm going to have to, basically she decides that she's going to have to handle Superman a different way than what she has so far. She's going to turn on the female charm. Mm-hmm. And so that's much text here. That's what she tries, only to find out that it's not going to work, to the extent that she gets frustrated enough and slaps him, open hands him across the face.
Bill from Long Island says,
Yeah.
LOL, how is this a situation requiring Superman? WTF?
Bill, you are exactly right, man.
Yeah.
That's,
Yep.
Steven and I started before we even got into the story with that thought in mind.
Yep.
And even going through it again, however many times we've gone through it, nothing about that question has changed. It is still, why in the world? As writers, why are you writing Superman in this? Did one of the main authors have a recent issue with his children? And he's like,
I don't know.
That gives me an idea. You know,
we did have the story with the rich guy whose son was a gambler and a drunk, and he wanted Superman's help with that guy. But that guy, I think his life was being threatened by gangsters or something, and that's ultimately what that story was about. It was less about him putting the guy back on the straight and narrow, like they're trying to do with. And yeah, it's just crazy. Bill from Long Island says, new series, Superman, enforcer for the 1%.
Now, you say that, and instantly what comes to mind is how much more horrible the world would be if Superman right now was working for our president.
Yeah. He was working for Ronald Reagan in Dark Knight Returns.
He qualifies as the 1%. So yeah, if Superman was running around doing all these things that Trump wants done or says that he wants done, man, what would our world be like?
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You could not get away with anything. Any of these people that are like, oh, fuck Trump. Superman would hear that.
He'd be right there at their door.
He would really hear that.
He'd see my thing here on the screen and go, oh, yeah?
What did you write there, Steven? Can we talk a minute?
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah. Now, okay, Bill, if you've not read this story, you're in for a ride, okay? So, the misbehaving daughter of a billionaire, the billionaire recruits Superman to put her on the straight and narrow, okay? She won't. Homelander. Yeah, that's exactly what that is. The Boys.
I've never read The Boys, and I haven't watched the show.
I am a bigger fan of that actor's previous television series. I liked him in that, where he assumed the identity of a sheriff that he.
I think you were telling me that a few months back.
He ended up having to kill when he first met him in a bar, and he
Yeah.
just took over because he was coming into town to assume this sheriff's position. The dude needed a job, and here he had just, though inadvertently, killed the sheriff. He's like, I shot the sheriff. Yeah. I'll just assume his identity. He got his ID and everything like that, and he just assumed being the sheriff of the town. Now he was on the run, and yeah, good TV. Very, very violent. Good TV. So can't set the daughter on the straight and narrow. So what do? Okay, we've seen Superman try something. It's not going to work. So we will go upriver from the mansion. We will have a dam break, and we will write about a giant flood that occurs. Okay. So now the flood dislodges the mansion that everybody's in, right? So now Superman has to, first of all, he has to save his immediate situation, which is the mansion. But now we have a massive flood. So you presume that that's what Superman is going to do in the story, is help people impacted by this flood that started out with a daughter that just wouldn't listen to her dad and was spending all her money, was basically the root of what's going on. So you go from that, an unruly child of a billionaire, to a massive flood that's going to impact thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions. I don't know. It's not Metropolis. It's outside of Metropolis. So that's kind of a saving grace.
Bill from Long Island says they established this story using dice and random events.
No doubt.
They surely did.
You are the GM sitting there at the end of the table with your chart, telling one of your players to roll. And you're like, okay, that's flood. Okay, so we got, even though it might not have anything to do with where you've been leading them, all of a sudden they turn the corner in the cave, and there's a big deluge coming at them. It's like,
the thing is, these 2 pages though with the flood, these are the 2 pages that do not make me outright hate the movie or hate the show, hate the story at all, because we see first of all, well, First of all, what kind of mansion is this that just suddenly is torn from the foundations, stays together, and floats down the river?
Yeah.
And no damage whatsoever. Superman's able to get outside the mansion to stop it from slamming into rocks.
Right.
He then
being
gets
carried by
under
the water.
then he gets under the mansion, lifts it up out of the water,
Right.
swims back up the river, holding the mansion, puts it back on its foundations. Done. House is fixed.
Wherever the water went that took it off its foundation, the water's not there anymore. It's not.
It's already gone by. It's just.
It's not high water. It's just So, we have that, and then Superman flies off to help people that need help, and Nancy is outside with her dad, thanking Superman for saving their life. Several panels three panels here of Superman kind of contending with the flood waters, but this sudden deluge of water he manages to get in front of.
Yeah.
So he does all that with the house almost instantaneously, gets ahead of the rush of the water, digs a channel to divert the water that was being held back by I was going to say a dam, but it's a reservoir. The dam for a reservoir broke. The water has rushed out. So now he has dug a channel for this as it's flowing down the holler, wherever it is. Digs the channel to channel the water into some barren valley nearby, because he doesn't have like oodles of time to dig for states length of stuff. So it's got to be just a real quick nearby. I guess maybe it's rushing down the holler and he just takes the water one holler over to the next valley or something like that, and diverts all the water there. It returns to the Thorgensen mansion to find Nancy and others aiding flood refugees. Refugees from what? He just diverted all of the water.
There must have been homes and whatnot ahead.
Between the mansion and where the dam broke?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess so. Maybe did we see...
We saw anybody.
We saw a couple houses here just on the next page prior to this, the upper middle panel. Nope, down next page down. In the middle here, see you've got a house and one up near the dam. So maybe those are the sharecroppers of the Thorgensen land or whatever. Who knows?
The serfs.
So he goes back. He's diverted the majority of the flood. Goes back to help the flood refugees. Oh, and it's a good thing he did, because now all of a sudden Nancy sees the error of her ways. Odd to see you thinking of someone besides yourself, Superman says as he's landing, having jumped. Okay, I'll let that go. No time for idle chatter. These people need us, Nancy says. And Superman thinks, perhaps the gal is all right. Or gal. The gal is all right after all, but I'm afraid she'll overdo it. So he doesn't necessarily believe where she's coming from, but she's wanting to help people, and we're seeing her dig people out of ruins. It's like, but he diverted most of the water. Where did all of this death and tragedy come from? Working at super speed, Superman rapidly cleans up the havoc left by the flood. So they're wanting the flood impact, the writers, but they're not showing any flood to impact. It's like you guys are missing something, because he stopped it before it became a problem. But you're saying, oh, now he goes and cleans up the problem. So
they spent way more time with her antics. They could have.
Oh yeah.
They could have narrowed that down a bit and given more space to the destruction of the flood. Because
taking her to see what this has done, and then she can help people. And
because I guess the whole point of the flood is to suddenly make her a better person. But because it happens so fast and they don't devote much time to it, it's literally just, I'm selfish kid who's going to stomp up into my room and I'm going to slap Superman across the face and they kidnap me and blah, 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 to just suddenly, we have to help these people and I'm going to work so hard that I'm going to pass out from exhaustion.
Right. Yeah. That's where we get to. She's helping him. She passes out. He takes her to the doctor. Um, then Clark shows up, asks about the daughter. I don't know how he would know even that she's in the hospital, but he does. Very ill, but the doctor assures me she'll recover because she was brought here in time, Thorgensen says. Then we have Lois and Clark. Again, not exactly like they have done in the past, but again, arguing about the story and who submitted it and how, which rather than the ha 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 beat you this time kind of ending, it's a, well, how did you even get the story? Because you weren't there. What did he do? He disappeared in the park.
Yeah.
When they went to find the car, and that was it for Clark, this whole story until just now. So, yeah. I have a way with billionaires, he says. Then goes back to,
Weeks
I
later.
guess Clark is going to the Thorgensen mansion. He's asking for an interview. My editor would like a statement regarding the huge sum you've just donated to charity, Mr. Thorgensen.
We never learn what charity it is.
No, just Thorgensen's favorite charity was the only designation. Yeah. I was glad to give it. Thanks to Superman, my daughter now devotes herself to important social work, aiding unfortunates. Sounds a bit haughty to me.
Well, and I don't know how Superman really had any influence over that. I mean, he saved them from the flood. That's it. He didn't.
He was the example, I guess. Girl experienced for the first time and felt weak. Well, yeah, there is that definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. From Long Island, girl experienced work for the first time and felt weak. Oh, she had the vapors.
The vapors. Yeah. So Nancy tells us, I've learned that there are more important things in life than nightclubs and selfish living.
So here's the thing. I understand the idea that a near-death experience can change your outlook on life. You know, I've wasted my whole life up until this point, you know, and now I've got to do good for others. I mean, in a movie, TV show story kind of way. You see that stuff all the time.
Yeah, that's a pretty standard. Yeah.
That's what I'm getting from this, is that
she
could have died in the flood. Superman saved them. She has a new outlook on life. So I guess in that tangential way, Superman is the reason that she's turned herself around. But I just, it's a way. This was, to me, other than the fact that we get this establishment that Superman is now strong enough to not only pick up a mansion, but swim upriver with it.
Yes.
He's fast enough and powerful enough to dig a mile-long trench using only his hands in but moments. Otherwise, and I really like the art. Otherwise, this was kind of a waste of paper.
Well, if this is where initially the writer wanted to end, right here, why did he take the journey that he did to get here? Now, he was mid-journey and decided, oh yeah, shit, I need to end this somehow, and decided to end it here. Okay, but it's like if this was the beginning of your journey, this was your idea. Well, yeah, we need to have the girl, the child, whatever, this way. Okay, now how do we get that? Then this story makes no sense. It's like, but after writing about how evil, right, how selfish she was, okay, now we need a lesson. What's the lesson? And in less than half of the story, this is where you end up. Yeah. It's like, wow.
Yeah, it's not that the idea of her learning a lesson and turning things around. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But they, with only 13 pages to get you to believe that she would make that kind of change, they spent a lot of time on stuff they shouldn't have. And it's like you said, did he get to that point and go, oh shit, I got to get to the ending of this? We say that all the time because it really feels like most of these stories, they get the whole the first three quarters, and then they realize, shit, I've only got 2 pages left. I got to wrap this up.
Yeah. And rather than starting with the ending, it seems so frequently they start with where the story starts and then realize at some point, that story has to end, and we need to wrap this up. You almost see after he's written 75%, somebody's standing over in the corner going, where is it, like this?
Yeah, you gotta wrap it up. Come on,
wrap it up, wrap it up. And then it's
the
like
band starts playing the
off
music.
Yeah, right. The screen is starting to dim, and you're like, oh,
and
shit,
so he's going, okay, and I want to thank my mom and my dad, before they cut his mic off.
Whereas I think I have certainly read other stories where this is where I want to be. And that's where they start putting together the story. I want to get here.
Right.
And so they think, well, how can I believably get there? Can I start here? Can I start there? Can I start? Because the ending they know, and they just have to get to the ending. But yeah, so many of these is like, oh, this is a really cool idea. This one panel, I want to draw this. And then it's like,
I really, if there's something out there, if anybody knows of anything out there that actually explains what the process was in regard to story, script, art, because we know, for example, the Marvel method, pretty simple. The writer basically gives the artist, hey, this is, Stan Lee would say, this is what I want to happen in this issue. Give the artist a couple paragraphs. The artist would technically write the story with their art, and then Stan would come back in and put in dialogue and captions. We also know that there are writers that will do full scripts,
right?
That for every single panel,
camera angle, everything.
Page 1, 9 panels, first panel, blah 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 blah. Describes everything. I want to know how these.
What is this
stories
method?
Came together. What's the method? And I have to imagine there's something out there where somebody talks about it at some point. And I would, if anybody knows where I can get that information, because I want to know how stuff like this happens.
I wonder if the writer has an idea and fleshes it out to a certain point and then gives it to the artist and says, here, go ahead and finish this one out.
Yeah.
And what we see, a lot of times the artists are not writers per se, not at this time.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh shit, I've got some freedom, but I only have 3 pages to finish this story. And but it just, they're always, not always, but here lately, there seems to be a first part of the story and then a second part of the story. And they don't necessarily mesh up, or not even a second part. It's the ending of a story. It's a portion of a story and the ending of a story, and they have to make the two mesh somehow. And it's like that didn't work too well.
Yeah, there's been a lot of these stories lately that the first 75 to 80%, it's like they're trying to flesh stuff out. And then they realize, we got to
wrap it up.
Shit, we got to wrap this up. And so then the last 2 pages, just all kinds of shit happen very rapidly.
Which they know at this time, definitely, how many pages they have in these anthology books. They know the room they have to work with.
That's why I would love
to
know the process. Yeah, I'd love to know the method.
It's an interesting feel to it.
Because they're experienced at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So many stories that Jerry Siegel has
written by now
for comics up to this point. So many.
13 pages is not a whole lot of room for a visual story. No.
Yeah.
But I have read plenty that it's obvious that they knew that's what they had to work with. And the story easily has a beginning, middle, and end. In 8 pages, I've read complete stories. Now, there's plenty of room, of course, to add more detail and flesh them out. And so you're like, man, I wish they'd have had more room for this 8-page story. There's so much more they could have done. But they knew, and that's how they wrote. These guys, they know they have 13 pages.
Bill from Long Island says it didn't test well. We had to do reshoots.
Yeah, so the last quarter was the reshoot, just to make an end to it. Yeah.
This is, of the 13 pages of this story, it's 2.5, 2 pages, 2 full pages, and then 3 panels at the top of 1 page that deal with the flood.
That's all the flood? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the last bit of that page deals with Nancy's ability to suddenly turn around and be selfless.
Right.
And so that would make 10 pages?
Essentially. Yeah.
It would have made much more sense to have 5 to 6 pages be all about her selfish ways and blah, 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 and him trying different things. And then the rest of it, they could have easily at some point at the very beginning of the story, like when they're in the Daily Planet and Lois is showing him that ad, or even when we see the ad, we could see, it would have been nice if we could also see a different part of the paper that maybe talks about the rain that hasn't stopped or something like that would cause concerns about the dam, blah, blah, blah. You just establishing that.
You could have easily cut out the whole Freddie portion.
Hell yeah.
That was, you already knew the kind of person she was. You didn't need Freddie to reinforce that. That was not, Yeah. There's several different changes that you could have made that would have given you more room, a couple more choices that would have fleshed some things out, and
Which, I mean, that's why I feel like their process leans more toward maybe the Marvel method, even though that wasn't a thing at the time, simply because if you get to a point in the story, if you're scripting it out and you realize, wait a minute, I spent way too much with this crap at the beginning, and I don't have enough time to establish the really the goal of the story, they go back and do a little bit of rewriting. But
exactly, change your script.
Yeah, once you have the art, then you're asking somebody to redo all that crap, and they had deadlines and stuff. But I think all in all, if I look back at all the Superman stories we've read so far, I'd put them in 3 categories. There's my favorites, the ones in the middle that are enjoyable, and then the ones at the bottom that weren't great. So this is in that 3rd category that it's somewhere in the lower echelon of Superman stories.
And also, this story finishes up the 3rd volume of Superman in the Golden Age that we've been using as our source material.
Okay, cool. I added this page from the comic. I didn't get a chance to read it or anything, so I don't know exactly what it says. But let's just read it real quick here. It says this was right after the Superman story. It's a page of text with just Superman's head and shoulders in a circle. It says Superman of America. And it says, greetings again, members. Well, I suppose there's one thought uppermost in your minds, and I can well understand your anxiety to learn the results of the Superman Super Contest. I don't remember the Superman Super Contest.
Nope. But then we don't necessarily go into the letters, pages, and stuff like that, which is where this would have been. So I mean,
it's only been within the last few months that I've started actually getting the scans. I read the story in the collection, and then I get the scans for the live.
I've just been using the collection, so I don't know what the ads were like or letters or anything like that for this.
The editors of Action Comics anticipated a storm of replies who wouldn't enter a contest when as much as $2,000 is being given away. But the entries have exceeded all expectations. All right, I'll have to go back and see what I can find of that. Maybe we'll talk about it next time.
Okay.
But there's a thing here at the bottom, Superman's secret message, code Uranus, number 6. And then there's Uranus. Oh.
Uranus. Sorry.
That's something that will go down in the annals of history.
Indeed.
Hey-o. All right. So general feelings.
This is going to be episode 96, right?
Yes. So
a little teaser. We have something different and special in mind to do. First, I'm going to take speech lessons so that I can speak on a podcast. I mean, it's, I have a face made for audio. So I need to get the audio right at least, because then I got nothing if I can't. But episode 100, we're thinking about, probably going to do something a little bit different as far as the topic of the show. So there's a little, I don't know if we've really said anything, but
I think we mentioned it last time in the last episode.
Something different. Did we actually say what we were going to do, or was that before the recording?
I don't remember, but
yeah, I don't remember completely.
Maybe on episode 98, we'll officially announce it.
Announce it on 99. I mean, it's a whole month between episodes, so 99 will be a whole month to do whatever if they want to follow along.
Yeah. And we'll have to put something out there like on the socials, if people want to maybe send in some voice grams to congratulate us for 100 episodes or
Whatever,
yeah.
vocals or the
the-
textuals or whatever they want to do. Sure. And I'm sorry, what were you going to say? You were going to say something completely
Oh no,
unrelated
I
to
was
that.
just going to say, so in general, you and I we didn't care for the story too much.
No, I mean, that doesn't necessarily bother me. I don't mind reading stories that are part of a mythos that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Um, Everything is not going to be a home run, and I readily accept that that's a possibility anytime I read any story. But at least in my mind, I can say, like now, I have read at the very least all of Superman's main appearances up to and including action number 40.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for whatever that's worth, I mean, it's worth something to me just because I think that's a cool thing to do. Um, all the story, no, I probably will remember just off the top of my head, maybe 10 or 15 of the stories.
Yeah.
And there's almost 100 of them right now. So that tells you the rest are, but at least at some point, you and I will be able to reference, oh yeah, remember that story where he picked up the house and swam with it to rescue it?
Yep.
So
that's what I'll remember most about this story. And
yeah,
I think you'll agree with me that regardless of us saying that it wasn't one of our favorites, it was still a fun story because of the ridiculousness, ridiculous concepts and whatnot that, there's always, I think these stories, unless they're just super, super boring, I think they're still going to be fun because of the way they're doing them. Basically.
Yeah, they're golden age stories, which is a completely different thing. Their initial Superman stories, which is stuff that like nowadays it'd be like he would swat that away and never give it a second thought. I mean, there's all of these things that even without consciously doing it, we are comparing to now. And that is what makes them, in my mind, a lot of times so amusing is, oh, remember when, kind of thing. And if you don't read the stories, then you don't have a remember when to compare to.
Yeah.
And that, I think that adds to a lot of the contemporary reading. If you're reading comic books, if you have that experience to compare it to other, it makes it much more engaging to be able to do that. The golden age silliness is absolutely. It is just, you read these and automatically after just maybe one story, but definitely two stories, you're like, man, they don't write them like that nowadays. And you're absolutely right. They don't. So.
And hey, speaking of Golden Age Superman, did you see the post I put up on Blue Sky yesterday with the images of the two Superman Funko Pops I ran into out in the wild?
No, I didn't see that.
Let me see if I can share it here real quick.
Oh, how did I miss something on Blue Sky? I'm always on Blue Sky.
Let's see. Oh, okay, so I stopped that. Let me share my screen here. Window. Boom. There we go.
Oh, yeah, here they are. Okay, found a couple of cool Superman Funkos in the wild that I can't afford. Oh, hey. So what is this, black and white? Okay.
Yeah, that's would be the George Reeves Superman, basically, from the TV show.
The black and white and the golden. That's interesting.
The Golden Age Superman, I love. They had a number of different Superman Funko Pop figures there. They had like Cyborg Superman from the Death of Superman, and then they had a bunch that I didn't recognize. But I thought that one was pretty cool. I like the smile and the way the eyes are and everything. And
for the Golden Age, yeah. Very opening panel or splash page Superman kind of that.
Yeah, and they're hard to see, but you can see he's got like shadowing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the box itself, it's like just these lines, that are drawn in for the shadowing. I thought that was pretty cool.
Cool.
All right. Anything else you want to say about this story?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I'm going to stop that. Go back to that. And then I will close out this episode.
Okay.
Here we go. Oh. All right. In our next episode, trains are being sabotaged to cause. In our next episode, trains are being sabotaged to cause them to crash, and Superman leaps into action to try and track down the saboteurs. The saboteurs. That's coming up at episode 97 when Ed and I take a look at the Case of the Death Express, the Superman tale that appeared in World's Finest Comics number 3, published by DC Comics in August of 1941. So until next time, folks, I'm Steven and that's Ed. And this was the Superman Super Show. Thanks for listening.
Ciao.
Okay, now I'm going to tell my daughter, technically we're done recording. She wants to spend her birthday watching Family Guy. She got a Family Guy DVD at the very same place where those Funko Pops were found. Cool. It's like a place in a mall where they just have all this. It's all like used stuff. They've got used CDs, used DVDs, used action figures, just all kinds of stuff. And so every time we manage to go, which isn't all that often, I always go into that place just to see what they have, because you never know what you're going to run into. And I keep hoping I'm going to run into like some Conan action figure or something at some point that I can grab. But yeah, let me save my recording. And let's see, export. This is everybody's favorite part of the live show, when you and I save our recordings. It's what they're all waiting for. Superman Super Show. Oh. All right. Okay, then. You want to do the 22nd?
We're already on the schedule, aren't we?
Were we going to do next week? Yeah. I can't remember how many weeks in a row I said.
Or no, wait, 4. Okay. We did Kitty last, Superman this, Kitty next, Superman 2.
Okay.
And then
we'll go back to every 2 weeks or something.
Or whatever need be. But yeah, we were going to do these 4 weeks in a row just to get a little bit of breathing room in the 2 shows. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So we'll pencil in the 15th for Kitty Pryde and Wolverine.
So Kitty or whatever, comic books, Superman, Conan, and what is your 4th show that you're going to be moving forward with?
G.I. Joe.
Yes. Okay. That's right. G.I. Joe. Okay. Because you just put out to the subscribers the Conan show.
Yeah.
Saw that come through this morning or yesterday?
Yeah, it was last night.
Okay.
Last night. So yeah, it's Superman Super Show the first Monday of every month. Here came Conan, second Monday. So then another G.I. Joe podcast will be the third Monday, and then Comic Book Super Show the fourth Monday. Okay. And then whenever I manage to have time to throw a bunch of random audio crap together, I'll put out another episode of Just Another Fanboy. So
is your G.I. Joe, how far are you looking at that? Are you just going to keep doing that? Or like, and I say that because like the Kitty Pryde Wolverine is only 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Conan is just ongoing. Is that the way G.I. Joe is going to be also?
That's the plan with G.I. Joe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And with Conan, it's funny too, because I recorded the episode that's going up for everybody on Monday. It's Conan the Barbarian number 40.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just happened to be looking, I don't remember what I was looking at, but there's the giant sized Conan the Barbarian number 1 comes out.
Fits in there somewhere.
Yeah. I read the date wrong, and I thought that it had come out before issue 40. And I, my neurodivergency had me panicking. It's like,
you're like, oh shit, I missed one. Oh,
I could just do it next month, but then it's going to make me feel weird because it's out of order. And I was like, maybe I should just post something that the episode's going to be delayed by a month because I recorded the wrong. And then I just happened to look at it again. And I said, oh no, okay, that's not for another. I could still do issue 41. And then
plus let me just throw this out. Dog, if the two stories are not connected, it's not going to make a difference.
I know.
I mean,
that's like the thing about,
whatever.
We know it's stupid. We know, but we just can't help ourselves.
That's the thing to remember. Unless you make a point 20 years from now, if somebody is listening to the podcast, they're not necessarily going to know what you say unless you say it. It's like, otherwise they're like, oh, well, I was just listening. Yeah. So.
Billy D says, I'd love to hear you guys talk about more of those X-Men limited series from the 80s.
That
we've made our lists.
Yeah, that's not possible, but the next one I think is certainly something that a lot of I don't think Steven's read it at all, and I need to remember to get that stuff in the mail to you this week so that you have plenty of time. And I think a lot of graybeards, either they will have heard of the book or they will have actually read the book, but it's something that if you're of a particular age, you're familiar with it. And then whether you've read it or not is entirely up to you. So that'll be a little bit different, I think, than a lot of the other stuff that we've talked about, ElfQuest or G.I. Joe or Conan. It's like...
Well, it'll be fun for me because if it's what I think it is, and I think most of your list...
I think it was half and half. I went half and half. I tried,
but I think it's something that I've never read before. So that'll
good.
Be it'll be.
I hope so.
Yeah. Other than, of course, we haven't read these Superman stories before. But
but that's a little different. These are also outside of our experience. We had no chance of reading these.
Yeah.
This you had a chance. You probably knew people that read it, and you didn't.
Yep.
It's
And in fact, again, if it's the one I think it is, or even one of the two that I think it might be. They were in the house. I know my brother read them.
Okay.
I just
never did. Okay. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I enjoyed it. And I read it initially. I read these books about a year and a half or maybe 2 years ago. So I'm looking forward to sitting down and reading them again with that recently still in my mind. Although admittedly, it may be a little bit hard for me to access at this point, but I know it's in there.
Here's some Hither Came Conan kind of news for anybody. For some reason I can't access my chat through the website. For some reason I got to go to my app. So a little while back, I reached out to Jim Zub just to ask him a question.
He's the writer of the current Titan comics, Conan.
Yeah. So this was back on January 26th, and said, and I had talked to him before once or twice, but I said, hi, I'm the host of Here Came Conan podcast. I've been so focused on the old Marvel Conan run for the show that I've been neglecting your run on the Titan series. And frankly, I miss reading your Conan each month. So I've started the series over with issue 1. And as I've been reading, I thought of a question I hope you might be willing to answer. You've worked with some incredibly talented artists on the book so far, but I was curious if there is a particular artist you haven't worked with yet that hasn't done Conan in the past that you'd really like to see on Conan. And I said, for me, I have 4 names: Joel Jones, Daniel Warren Johnson, Jamal Campbell, and Riley Rosmo.
He came back and said Warren Johnson, didn't he?
No.
Oh, okay.
He basically just said all 4 of those suggestions would be excellent.
Good list. Yeah.
Okay. And then he says a couple of names that he thought of would be Nicola Scott or Matteo Scalera. I'm not.
Yes,
I need to look that up. But then I thanked him, and then he said, "Let me know if you ever want to chat on an episode." So I told him for sure, give me a few weeks to get all caught up with his run, and then we'll schedule something. So it might be an interview episode, or maybe
the Hither Come Conan jumping all the current stuff.
It might be an interview episode, or maybe depending on what issue of Conan the Barbarian I'm set to read at that time, maybe he'll read it as too. We'll just talk about that issue.
That could be.
So let's see. Billy D, I just recorded an episode last night covering some Conan. Dude, you're stepping on my turf. I'm kidding. I don't care. I'll look for it because I'll listen to it. I finished both the Magazines and Monsters episode, the first Black Panther episode, which was really fun. And then I have the second one. I'm listening to a limited series right now, and then the second one's in the queue after that series is done. But I've read the first 4 issues so far.
Okay.
Let's see. Billy D says Matteo Scalera did some Hulk a few years ago. That was amazing. He says he's a good artist. And Bill from Long Island, Jim Zub, Kool-Aid Manning. Not sure what that means. BP was a lot of fun. Ed and I are thinking of Commandy next. That would be good because I haven't read Commandy. I like that you're doing. Of course,
that stuff is wild.
I think what Billy D had said in that first episode is that you guys like to try to do talk about Kirby once a year.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I've really not read a lot of Kirby. So pretty much anything you guys choose is probably going to be something that I haven't read.
Keep Kirby out there. I mean, there's a lot of people that recognize Bursting into the Room like Kool-Aid Man. Yeah. Jim Zub. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. A lot of people talk about Kirby's place, the history, why Kirby is important, But in the podcasts that I see, I don't really see anybody actually talking about his stuff. So I'm like,
yeah, you'd think there'd be like a King Kirby podcast that only talks about Kirby issues. And
I think there is one podcast that is creator centric, and the creator is Kirby, and they're like, they have been going so long that it's not a overly regular podcast anymore. It comes out occasionally when they have time or whatever. I think just one. Now, every now and then, maybe somebody will come out with this week we're talking about Kirby's full run on Fantastic Four. It's like, dog, that's 100 issues. How are you going to do that in 2 hours? But stuff like that. But nobody is talking about any kind of book by book Kirby stuff.
Jacked Kirby is one of them. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today.
Billy and Doc and anyone out there that did not. All you other people also sitting on cushions, as the movie goes, or something like that. Yeah. That's a take on a movie quote. And all you other people not sitting on cushions. That's what the quote was.
All right. I'm going to end this now. Bye. And then